So I appreciate you seeing me today, Chris.
No
I know
problem.
it's kind of a busy time of year for everybody, but I do appreciate you taking the time.
No problem, Bob. Glad to do it. We're always looking for good information.
So, as I said on the phone, there's my card, by the way.
Thank you.
So as I said on the phone, I just wanted to have a sit down. I know you guys aren't currently in the immediate cycle of purchasing equipment. You've got about 18 months left on your current digital gear from what you shared with me. I just wanted to sit down and get to know you, get to know your business a little bit, so that when the time is more appropriate, we can come through and be more educated in what we can offer for you.
That's great. I mean, the best time to do the research and the legwork is when we're not in the market. We've got a little bit of time left on most of our electronic digital output devices. We also have the offset equipment, but that's a little bit of a different game. So we're in that 12 to 18 month time frame, so now's a good time to do it.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned on the phone, you've driven by us a number of times over in Windsor, Connecticut. It's nice to see that you're familiar with our company and our campus over there. Nationally, obviously we're an international company, but nationally we've got about 6,500 employees. In Windsor, we've got about 650, so about 10% of our U.S. workforce is based out of Windsor.
Really? Right down in Windsor?
Right down in Windsor.
That's only about a half an hour from
So,
where we are.
Big facility there. We've got a number of departments right across from our sales office. We have our National Tech Support and Engineering Labs, where technicians in the field that have gone through the factory training have the option of calling in should they have an issue with the machine that they're not familiar with. They can actually call in there and work with tech support, and if things escalate up, it goes all the way up through engineering. The engineering team is actually the folks that do product development as well, in concert with their counterparts in Japan, Germany, and Australia. So
That's wonderful. So there's a lot of support there.
There is. In fact, it's not just that. Our national call center, where you would call for service and supplies, our national accounts order processing center, our New England Regional Training Center, which is one of 4 in the country, is all in the Windsor campus. Our Systems Engineering Center, where we custom code software, develop our own software products, as well as vet third-party software pieces and make sure that they play well with our machines as well, so that there's no integration hiccups between third-party and Konica Minolta product. We also have finance, so there's quite a bit of
Clearly, it's not just the
support.
sales office there.
Not at all, not at all. In fact, it's also the 3rd largest warehouse in the country, so that's a nice piece as well, because customers, especially in the production game, there's always that Friday afternoon job that comes in, and
Oh, sure.
customers need toner, so it's nice to be able to support all of those things.
That's good. I absolutely did not know that, so I appreciate you pointing that out.
Sure. Bit of my background, I'm actually originally a network systems engineer. Worked for years for CompUSA Technical Services, doing network implementations, things of that sort, and actually went to work for Kinko's years and years ago as a senior tech specialist. My responsibility there was obviously the network and all of the computers, but also digital file problems and all of the things associated with printing technologies and the errors that can come up in the days. From there, we were actually beta testing 2 of the first generation of Konica Minolta color production machines, a machine called the 8050. This is back in 2003-2004 time frame.
I think I remember that product.
So yeah, it was our first iteration in it. It was built from the ground up for production, and now actually that product is now in its 5th generation in our C6000 and 7000. So it's nice to be able to say I've literally seen the product line go through those 5 generations in one position or another. When I first came to Konica Minolta, I was a systems analyst, so I would go through. We call it an application specialist, but essentially what I would do is I would do any pre-sale support and post-sale implementation in concert with the service department as far as applications, and I would coach all the production print companies that had gone with us how to run it, how to do color management, and all that type of thing.
So you've seen the business from a number of different sizes.
I have.
Sides.
I have, and I joined the sales force almost 7 years ago now. So it's been a fun transition.
Okay, good. Enjoy it, sounds like.
I do. I really do. And as time moves on, I'm sure you'll speak with some of the other customers that we currently work with, and you'll see that one of my favorite things to do is roll up my sleeves and work shoulder to shoulder with the print folks. We also have a very lengthy and a very wide array of support personnel as well that I can call on and that you eventually will be able to call on as well. But one of my favorite things to do is to actually get to know my customers, get to know their customers and their type of work. So
That's great. Okay.
So, in reading online, I understand that you guys have quite a bit of digital business. In fact, you actually advertise on your website two different forms of it. Obviously, you have your regular digital work being comprised of your 7000 BP from Canon, as well as your Ricoh 900S. But on the monochrome side, I understand,
We have the Kodak version of the, it's relabeled. It's a Canon image runner, it's the 125.
Okay, okay, sure. Very familiar with that.
Real workhorse. You know, it's a good machine. All of our products have performed okay. I mean, you know, there's issues here and there, but like you said, we have the Kodak made Canon. We have the Canon 7000, and we also have the Ricoh, the 900S. You know, we get along pretty good with them. On the offset side of the house, you know, we have you know, 6-color Heidelberg, and we have, you know, a host of other different types of offset presses, different, you know, sheet sizes, and you know, we go from small sheet size all the way up.
Okay.
So pretty large commercial operation.
On the digital color side, the Canon and the Ricoh, what were the compelling factors, what were the driving factors in selecting those two products?
When we acquired that product, I mean, clearly, you know, the fact that it was, you know, Kodak made, proven platform, and the duty cycle.
Okay.
You know, we need to make sure that we can get the work out. Our operators were very familiar, you know, with that technology. That's what we felt comfortable with, and you know, it's proven to be a workhorse for us. Okay.
Did the dual fusing units in those bear any impact on your decision-making process?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Being able to keep machine rated speeds for the...
Yeah, on the color?
On the color machine,
yeah,
yes.
on the color machine, you know, same thing. We need productivity, but on the color machines, a little different. You know, engine, you know, rated speed. When you're running heavier stocks, that was probably our #1 thing.
Okay.
You know, when we tested the machines, when you went up to those, you know, heavier paper stocks, these two machines that we have, the Canon 7000 and the 900S, very little slowdown when running heavy stock. So, you know, I would say, you know, running at engine rated speed, you know, during the heavier stock or custom jobs, you know, flats and all the things that we do.
Nice, nice. One of those Friday afternoon jobs, no slowdown is key.
You know the drill.
So, I also noticed on your website that you do secure digital printing. In addition to your regular digital, you actually punctuate a secure digital piece. Can you tell me more about that? What types of applications you do that in, and some of the needs that you might have in that department?
We want our, you know, customers to know. I mean, we do you know, invoicing and statements, and you know, documents that need to be secure. HIPAA compliance, billing statements. Our customers want that assurance that we take the time to, you know, secure their information, really. So, you know, we pretty much lock down our facility in the 2nd and 3rd shifts.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Excellent. In regard to the hardware, is there any specific needs that you have on the individual hardware itself, either the software solutions that you might use on your workflow in, or on the physical hardware itself?
Well, on the hardware, we're MIS compatible. We need, you know, we have a Printergy system, and we also utilize JDF, and that's you know, only for the presses.
Okay.
Not for the digital or the bindery.
Okay, so the MI system pretty much is just your offset arm, and the digital doesn't flow through that system?
Correct.
Okay, okay. Just touching back on the secure digital piece, did you have any, when you selected your 135s on the black and white side and your other 2 color machines, were there any qualifiers for those, for the secure digital? In other words, did those have to be outfitted in any particular special way to be able to meet all of the HIPAA compliance, et cetera, for that department?
I'm not totally familiar with that,
Okay.
but in subsequent meetings, I mean, I could have my IT people, I mean, come in and really, you know, go over, you know, particular specs that we have.
Okay.
Maybe that's something that we should look at in the future.
Okay, certainly.
But, you know, security, you know, my job is to make sure that we have secure components in the building.
Absolutely.
The granular parts we can get into as the process keeps going forward.
Okay. In digital print, I mean, I don't know if you follow some of the trends that I'm seeing on the printers, but A lot of stuff is migrating now from offset litho into digital print. Which types of pieces do you find doing more of that? Flats and multi-up postcards or multi-page documents?
All of that.
All of it?
All of the above, you know, flats, variable data. We want to stay, you know, out in front, cutting edge, making sure, of course, you know, productivity, efficiency, cost savings at every juncture. But we do, you know, pretty much all the high-end work.
Okay. You mentioned variable data. Is that incorporating just variable image, or I'm sorry, variable text, variable information?
I would say, you know, most of it's variable text, but of course, as time goes by, people have started to, I mean, we've been pushing it for a while, variable data imaging within the pieces, but it's starting to be you know, recognized, and customers are now getting more comfortable with it, and starting to go that way. So it's kind of like anything else that started, you know, evolution of the variable data. You know, I think that we're definitely migrating to that. I can't say it's a huge percentage with the variable data images,
Okay.
but it is increasing slowly. So as we look towards equipment in the future, we need to make sure that you know, if we make a decision that's 3 or 5 years out, that we can accommodate the increase in that workload as well.
Okay.
And you know, that lends back into, you know, being on the cutting edge. You know, we really, you know, you went out to the website, and you know, we publish what we have for equipment. The last thing we want to do is publish a machine that is, you know, 10 years old.
Sure.
And we're positioning ourselves and branding ourselves as you know, being out there on the cutting edge, and we want to stay that way. So you know, that's the reason for these meetings. You know, 12 or 18 months prior to having to make any decisions.
Okay. Okay. That's another topic I should circle back with, probably with your IT team then, is what variable data protocols you're using, what software you're using for emitters, things along those lines. You wouldn't have to know if you have Fusion Pro or Print Shop Mail or any of those pieces of software running?
We have a little bit of everything. Print Shop Mail, we do use Fusion Pro, all the standard setups. And again, that's something that as we go forward with the process, we can get, you know, in more detail with, but we obviously use variable data software programs. And you know, every time you get on somebody's PC, you find out they pick up an additional piece of software here and there. IT doesn't know about it, and
sure.
I find that out all the time. So sometimes we don't know exactly what they have on those PCs. So
it's the nature of the production beast.
it is.
You make it work one way or the other.
That is for
Get it
sure.
out the door.
Absolutely.
So
but do you work with all of those programs, and
we do.
was kind of Comminolta's position on being able to support all of that and implement it?
We fully support Print Shop Mail as well as Fusion Pro. In fact, we sell the products.
Okay.
We also have a number of folks, obviously, you know, by background, but we also have a gentleman named Joe Urbanski. He's our production print systems analyst.
Okay.
He supports all of these on a daily basis. In fact, he does quite a bit of stuff, anything variable coming out of the state of New York up in Albany, Joe is intimately involved with, so that obviously lends us to have quite a bit of capability there. Interesting that you have the Canon 135. Being a Kodak product, Joe actually started with Kodak. In fact, when that entire product line was in development, Joe was on the product development team when that product was a breadboard. So
Okay, so he's got some experience.
he does, and so he'd be a nice person to bring in. Eventually, I'd like to schedule something where I can bring in Joe, as well as Joel Horner, our production print specialist, so that the three of us can do sort of a walkthrough and an assessment of your workflow, so that we get a better picture of that.
So it's not just you doing the implementation, or?
By no means. By no means. I would certainly be a part of the team, and I take point in certain things, but there are other pieces where other things that Joe will take point on. Joe Urbanski will take point on. So it depends on what it is and who the customer is and what type of things we're doing as part of the implementation.
Okay.
Certainly isn't just, you know, hardware and trading on that. It's workflow all the way through, and we want to know as much about your workflow so that whatever we would present to you and propose to you would slipstream right into your workflow, or hopefully improve it.
Okay. Okay. Talk to me about service, because you know, uptime is key. We're not for not putting out output out of the machine. We're not making money, but you know, we have the existing equipment. Our existing provider does a pretty good job. I mean, you learn to you know, find your way with the existing vendors. Everybody learns about each other. We've gotten to a certain you know, operating mode with our existing vendor. So, you know, service is very important to us. So what can you tell me about Konica Minolta as it relates to service?
Well, I can tell you we have 10 production techs that cover the state of Connecticut as well as Western Mass.
Okay.
Your being in Springfield is right over the border, so that's not an issue at all. In fact, our production techs are a dedicated team. And by that I mean our guys have been working on average for about 22 years, is the average tenure of one of our production technicians. And all they touch is production. Okay. We have a completely separate team that works on our workgroup stuff, the office type copiers. And they don't get, so our production techs don't get distracted and pulled away into that field. Furthermore, their trunk stock, which is obviously their road ready gear full of parts, you know, high usage parts that we anticipate needing, their trunk stock is going to be specifically geared toward the production print space. Okay. In fact, it's going to be for all of our current production print models. So the odds of them needing to go get a part are mitigated quite a bit by being able to do that. Should they need to do that, all of our technicians are outfitted with a military grade smartphone that ties actually into our implementation of SAP, and that's how we run our entire company. From shipping freight over from the Far East to the US, to entering orders, to doing service billing for your meter reads, okay, to dispatching technicians. Everything centers around SAP.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, it sounds like the company is taking the necessary steps to make sure that the technicians have what they need to do business out in the field. I kind of want to know what's more important to me is the day they don't have the part in the car, how do you keep us up and running? Because sometimes that happens.
A number of different ways. We can obviously accommodate you back at our BizHub Customer Care Center. We have an implant print shop back in Windsor, so if you ever have overflow work or machines are down, we back up our customers in that regard.
Okay, that's good to know.
If a technician does not have a particular part that he needs and needs to get up and running right away, he can do one of two things. On his military grade smartphone, he can either order that part and have it shipped to him for 10:30 the next morning. Okay. And the way we do that is we actually have a warehouse in Bridge, Kentucky, which happens to be right next to the UPS World Ship Center. Okay. So we can order parts up to 7 p.m., ship until 11 p.m., and have that part in the technician's hand for 10:30 the next morning.
That's good to know as well.
So we partnered with UPS in that regard about 5 years ago, and it's made the world of difference in our production print.
And is there
great fix times? Is
there any way to get the part that day? I mean, are there any means possible to try and?
Absolutely. With that military grade smartphone, the technician can also go out and search all the trunk stock for any of the other members of our production team. So any of those other 10 guys that are on the team, he can see not only what he has in his car as a digital library, but he can catalog out what his colleagues have as well. So he can meet them for lunch, grab the part, and shoot right back over to get the part in your machine as well.
That's actually pretty valuable.
So
that could be the difference being up and down, up or down.
Absolutely.
In a few hours or, you know, overnight.
Absolutely, and obviously we prefer to do it on the trunk stock and get you up and running as quickly as possible. But we do have the Brooks, Kentucky facility as a backup.
That's definitely important to us.
So
excellent. Okay. Is there anything else that you go out of your way to point out that makes Konica Minolta stand out? Whether it be your products, I know we've talked about your service, but your product line.
A number of things.
You know what we have. You know, products. I'm not asking you for exact because we haven't gone through that yet. But you know, what types of products? I mean, are you going to be able to support us in this type of market segment?
Absolutely, absolutely. A couple of key ways that we do that with our existing customers. Two things. I mentioned we have our Systems Engineering Center in Windsor, as well as our Tech Support and Engineering Labs. Our Systems Engineering Center, we actually, as I mentioned, custom code software. We can do workflow implementations and custom workflows for you, so that even if you don't have the need for it right now, say a year from now or a year after implementation, you establish a new job with a customer that you need some kind of specialty make ready on. a numbering piece or some type of parsing or something along those lines. We can have our SEC develop a custom application for you in concert with our systems analysts and get that put in place for you. It's one of the things that we do, sometimes for a fee, sometimes we do it and there's no need for a fee. It depends on what the scope of the project would be. But we work with our customers throughout the life of their lease. We don't just say, well, this machine has this and we can accommodate that on your next lease.
Okay.
We can be interactive with that throughout the life of the lease. Another way that we can do it is by working through engineering and getting, having them sort of engage their counterparts in Japan. One of the things we were able to do for a printer in Holyoke, right down the street, is get some custom firmware, some specialty firmware loaded on their machine that was developed in Japan. They had a special need where they needed to have something come out of the machine reverse plex. In other words, the top of the sheet would have...
Like bindery or something?
Well, it would be, and the need for it was exactly for that, for their bindery. It needed to be page 2 facing up, with page 1 facing down. 4 up, 3 down, 6 up, 5 down. You can see how that's going to continue all the way through the stack. When they were running it through their folder, it would reverse the plex on it and fold it up to where page 1 was actually facing out, but they had an older folder and didn't have the cash or the means to replace it at the time, and for a couple of their jobs needed this to happen. So we were able to work with our engineering team and get some specialty firmware installed on their machine where they now have a switch. So they can actually print jobs reverse plex and have them come out that way.
It's good to know.
Makes their life a little bit easier. We had another instance, a customer up in Albany had some specialty ballots that they were doing.
Like a voting ballot?
Like a voting ballot. And they actually needed an extra ½ inch on the sheet and needed to be able to staple 2 extra sheets as part of a set for 12 by 18. Actually needed to be 12.5 by 18.5. And again, working with our engineering team and they with their colleagues in Japan, we were able to get some specialty firmware and specialty drivers developed to accommodate that need. Took about 6 or 8 weeks to do it, but we were able to do it, and the customer then was able to get their job out and meet their customer's need.
It's wonderful.
So
that's very good stuff to know. Great information. Well, what I'd like to do is, discuss what we've gone over here today with my team.
Okay.
I do think there's reason to keep speaking. So I'd like to meet with my team, share that information, and discuss how we keep the process going forward from here.
Okay. A couple of things you mentioned that I'd like to just follow up on so that you have some collateral and some talking points to go through with your team. This piece describes our toner manufacturing process.
Okay.
I mentioned this for 2 different reasons. One, it speaks to green initiatives. I noticed on your website you have major green initiatives.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And obviously, as this demonstrates here, on page 3, we're cutting down significantly on carbon dioxide, sulfur oxide, and nitrogen oxide emissions in the toner manufacturing process. We do that by growing our toner chemically underwater. It yields a much more perfect particle and a much smaller particle than what our competitors do in making pulverized toner, where they literally take a block of it and break it up. That creates irregular shapes as well as uneven sized particles, which makes even laydown, especially at the microscopic level.
Anytime you can control is good.
Control is good, and so that's one of the things we do. It allows us for superior image quality. It minimizes significantly, I'll never say that it makes cracking during folding go away, but we all know one of the challenges to any type of printing technology is cracking when you fold a document. I would challenge you to take any of your current machines, because I'm familiar with those 2 color models, and what I'd like to do at some point is run a sample for you in one of our color models.
Sure.
And if you fold those sheets, you will notice that our machine has the smallest instance of cracking during folding.
It's good to know. Obviously, handling of the paper following the output is, all part of the big picture. So it's good to know.
I also want you to know, again, in green initiatives, all of our products are RoHS compliant in our manufacturing process. So there's no nastiness emitted into the environment as we do that. I know in some bid specifications, RoHS compliance is a qualifier that you need to meet if you're going to be awarded the bid.
Absolutely.
So
that's a good point as well.
So another thing, just to mention to your team is that we have all these initiatives. Another one is our Green Planet program. In addition to everything I've just described, we also recycle everything that comes out of your machine.
Really?
Not just the paper, but also the toner bottles, drums, anything that would be come out of the machine during a PM type procedure, all of that gets recycled. In fact, we provide you this case and a shipping label. When it's full, you ship it back to us and we recycle it ourselves.
Well, that's good to know, because, you know, with the amount of volume that we do, it'd be hard pressed. I mean, there's toner bottles, you know, recycled toner bottles, the used up toner bottles. I mean, they seem to be everywhere, at least when I walk the floor. So having a system like this, is it easy to implement? And
extremely. We ship you the box, and you can order the box subsequently after the first order, anytime you're ordering supplies, toner, service, any of those things. You can call our National Customer Care Center, again in Windsor, Connecticut, and they will ship you those as part of any of your supply orders.
okay. And what do we just, we address it to Konica Minolta?
We provide you the shipping labels.
Oh, really?
You box it up, we provide you the shipping label, and you ship it.
Okay. So the only thing we really have to do is pay for the postage?
Not even. We provide you the shipping label, and we pay for the shipping.
Really?
Really.
That's a pretty complete system.
We try to be.
That's making it easy.
That's our goal.
Okay, that's very good.
So that's for you as well. One of the things we talked about, obviously, in your digital secure print application, I want you to have this. This is our fundamentals of security document, and this describes how, in all of our machines, we handle security on multiple levels, in fact. This particular piece here describes our hard drive security. We do use hard drives for image buffers, as most of our competitors do, but we secure them. And we do that two ways. One, there's a password on the hard drive that's embedded in the BIOS so that no one can get their hands on it, and if you don't know the password, you can't gain access to the drive. If, for some reason, someone were able to work their way past that, in all likelihood they wouldn't, but if they might, we also encrypt the data. We use 128-bit AES encryption, which would probably be more of a head nodder for some of your IT folks. Most people don't know what that is. There's my engineering pass coming.
Well, this information is going to be, it's going to come up. It's going to be asked about. So the fact that you're providing this is good. As I go back and talk to my team.
So, and lastly, I'd like to share with you all of these different types of hard drive overwrites that we can do.
Okay.
At the we don't do this on a regular, but at the maturity of your lease, before the machine would leave your facility, we can do these overwrites. And we have overwrite systems that are compliant with the National Security Agency, the Department of Defense, as well as the United States Air Force.
Really?
So if we can secure the drives well enough for them to do it with our national secrets, your HIPAA compliance will certainly not be in question.
Department of Defense is a pretty good security level.
Absolutely.
Well, like I said at the beginning of the meeting, security is a much talked about item in today's day and age, and of course it just keeps ratcheting up. So we want to stay on the cutting edge there as well, especially if we're acquiring equipment for the next 3 to 5 years. So that information is very good.
Excellent, excellent. You mentioned at the beginning of our meeting, and I know you're 18 months out at least, but I did want to show you these. These are our two flagship products, our 1250 and our C8000. 1250 is a 125-page monochrome machine.
Good size machines.
And absolutely. And the C8000 is our color offering at this point, our color flagship product. Both of these machines will max out at 350 GSM. Put that in US paper terms, it's 16-point stock, okay, which is an incredibly thick stock. I don't think that your current machines, the 900 nor the 7000, can run that.
Yeah, you get into the 300 GSM rate.
Okay, so about 110-pound cover?
Yeah.
Okay. Now these will actually go up to 16-point, which is just over 120 pound.
As the industry evolves, you know, shorter run, higher quality, print on demand.
Absolutely.
We're always, seems like, throwing more and more jobs off the press, drawing them over to the electronic, digital side of the house. So anytime we can increase the capabilities of putting the image on thicker stocks as it relates to taking work from the press to keep the presses running on the longer run, higher quality custom work, that's a good point. It's a good selling point.
So one of the other things you mentioned on both of your machines, especially on the color side, was the need to not have a slowdown or a material slowdown when you're running thicker paper.
Rated speed, yes.
And so on our C8000, we do that with a dual fusing system, much like your current
That's
machines.
the color product?
That's the color product.
Okay.
And we do that with a dual fusing system.
Okay.
What that allows us to do is anything that's at 136 GSM or higher, will actually pass through this secondary fusing unit.
Okay.
Anything 136 GSM and lower will actually take a U-shaped bypass around that, which is the opposite of your Canon 7000 VP. I know that actually, the U-shape, curiously, is for the thicker fusing, and the lighter stocks actually take the straight path.
Okay. I'm sure that'll get talked about and analyzed, so it's good to know that. Again, these are great sound bites for me to take back to my team. I'm sure my operations manager will be part of the next meeting.
Okay.
So I will provide that information to him, and we can go dive deeper into that as we go forward.
Okay. Lastly, I have something for you here. This would be something I would share with your pre-press manager, if you could. And what this is, it's the same file printed out 3 different ways. And it's actually screened at 3 different frequencies, much like they would do with a plating rip. If you had an offset litho job that was breaking up, what you would do is you would, obviously, as you well know, lower your line screen frequency. And so this is the same file printed at 190 lines per inch, 170 lines, and 130 lines. This is printed on RC 8000. And what it does is, you can see there's no material shift in any of the colors, and we've done that because we've calibrated into each of these different frequencies before we ran it, and we actually profiled the paper as well.
Okay.
So this gives us,
looks wonderful.
this gives us the capability of taking any of your long run.
What stock was this?
That is run on a 16 point.
Oh, you've even got it labeled.
It's a 16 point C2S. Yes.
Very good. That'll make quick work of it when we gather the team up to go forward. Excellent.
So,
okay.
What I'd like to do, I spoke briefly earlier about Joe Urbanski and Joel Horner.
Yes.
If we could come in, I know it's, early December here, and we're approaching kind of crunch time as far as the holiday season and all that, and things get a little chaotic. What I'd like to do is early January, if we could come back and I could bring my systems analyst and my production print specialist in, do a brief walkthrough of your plant. We'd love to see your facility, and we'd also like to meet your team and just ask a few questions. That way the next meeting that we have in front of you, when it's a little bit more pointed as far as what your timetable is and what products we can offer you, we'll have a better idea about what things we should be speaking about and what we should be asking about at that time.
Okay, that sounds good. I have no problem with that. I think let's get through the holidays.
Okay.
We have a couple of slow days after the 1st of January, so if we can set it up for right after the 1st of the year, that week is probably the best time to do it.
Okay.
Get you some FaceTime with our production folks, and expose what we do on a daily basis for you.
Okay. And what I'll do is I'll send you an email next week and just give you some time to meet with your team and see what would work best. We're pretty much open the first week of January, so if you want to just let us know what date and time would work, we'd appreciate it.
Okay, this gives me enough information to speak somewhat educatedly to my team, and let them know what I've been researching and what I want to accomplish on the next visit. And I look forward to seeing you on site again. The team will take over for the next phases, but I'm sure we'll meet up at the back end.
Excellent.
Okay?
Excellent. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much
Really
for your
appreciate
time.
you taking the time.
Excellent. You have a good day.
You as well.